Hey guys, Cam for 15, back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review for you guys, as I'm going to talk about the last two manga chapters, which, seemingly enough, seem to end off the Ochaco Uraraka versus Himiko Toga storyline, which, funny enough, not a lot of people in the MHA community liked how this battle turned out. Again, I don't know why they have their... Again, everybody's entitled to their own reasons if they didn't like how a certain story point ended out or where they didn't like a piece of story. Listen, I was vocal saying that I did not like the whole Bakugo being revived thing. That was absolutely stupid. But there were people that were kind of like upset about this, about, what happened in this fight. Like, I don't know what they expected. They probably wanted a legit all-out fight between Toga and Ochaco. They don't get that, but it's like, yeah. In some cases, yes, the action was still there, but you did have to have some sort of downturn from everything we've been seeing. And again, when I get to the end of the video, I'm gonna speak and give my overall thoughts on both the chapters from not only last week but this week's chapter. I'm gonna probably give you my reason why I believe they went with this route, because it actually makes the most sense in this case. Some people, they just want to see fight. It's got to be a fight. And if it doesn't if they don't obviously get what they want, well, then they're gonna freaking trash it and say it's the worst thing known to man, which these chapters are not the worst things to known to man. I don't know what people's main opinions of this week's chapter was, but there was a lot of pushback, and I would say a lot of people that did not like where last week's chapter went and everything. But it's like, what do you want? Do you want a bloodied, battered freaking battle? You're gonna get that with Deku versus Shigaraki. You're gonna get that with All For One versus All Might. Pretty much. You got that with freaking Todoroki versus Toya. Shoto versus Toya. What are we doing here? My goodness. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. But obviously, like I said, you can't please everybody. Everybody's a critic. Everybody's got to complain about something because, they don't like a certain story point that an author brings up. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, there's nothing we can do, and we just move on. We just continue reading the story that, hey, if you like, you keep reading. If you don't, then don't know why you haven't dropped this yet. But okay, you keep coming back every week if you don't like the story and where it's going. But all right, I guess. But anyways. Where this is My Hero Academia manga chapters 394 and 95 reviews. So starting out the chapter with 394, we get a cover page spread of pretty much Class 1A in these green outfits and everything. So yes. Now this chapter is titled Ochaco Uraraka versus Himiko Toga. Now we know about, obviously, from the last chapter, chapter 393, that Ochaco was able to awaken her quirk, and she doesn't have to touch people to use her zero gravity quirk. So we pretty much are getting the aftermath of what's going on and everything, and we just see how the zero gravity quirk with her awakened abilities are now making all the clones float and everything. And pretty much you just have it to where they're just high in the air. Now, even though Ochaco can't do much of any damage, the only thing she probably, and Toga makes a mention, the only thing she'd probably do is probably just drop me and kill me and kill me to my death. But that's kind of the thing right then and there. Now we have it to where one of the Wild Pussycats, remember, he talks about the fact that Ochaco's strength has actually grown since the Forest Camp arc, way back in, especially if you're watching the anime, season 3. He's just at shock. He's at shock with how strong the UA kids have gotten in this short span of time. Because remember, when obviously as a reader, it feels like it's been a long time, but in real My Hero Academia time, it's only been like maybe half a year, I guess you can say, like only a few months since they enlisted into UA. So to them, to these pro heroes, they're like, these UA students from when I first saw them, they've gained so much strength than whatever. And again, like I said, this is only in a span of like half a year, and we all know that these characters, our UA characters, should be second years in high school, if not for this war taking place. So, yes, now, we cut back to Ochaco, and she's talking about the fact that her whole body's going cold because of, obviously, the stab wound. But pretty much she's like, well, what matters is I'm going to have to reach out and I'm going to try to frickin' save Toga, pretty much. Or, how the chapter says. But what matters right now is that I want to reach out and touch that sorrow inside of you. Now, she uses her rope to get a hold of Toga, and pretty much Ochaco goes on to say, my family was poor and my folks were always looking kind of gloomy. I set out to become a hero to make their lives easier and cheer them up. But as I grew older, I learned that the world's full of other people, not just my parents and our home. And then I fell in love. So, and the thing is, we kind of see it where Toga's like trying to pull Ochaco in to go for another attack. And then this is when we get a really, well, I would say, a moment that I have finally been waiting for. As a My Hero Academia fan, as a shipping fan of this ship, finally, we have it in this one panel where Ochaco says that she fell in love with Izuku Midoriya, and now I'm trying to stop you. Obviously telling Toga. Now, first things first, before I continue on, finally, Ochaco finally admits to her feelings for Deku, finally says that she is in love with him after how many seasons and chapters of this series have we've gotten to the point where, holy hell, it's always been this, oh, is she gonna tell him or something, is she gonna end up confessing? She finally admits to her feelings that she's in love with Deku, because remember, way back, early My Hero Academia, she hid those feelings because, she purposely hid those feelings because, oh, blah 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 blah, I don't want to focus on my feelings for Deku, which will cloud my judgment and get in the way of me wanting to become a hero. Which makes absolutely no sense. Like, I'm of the opinion, if you like somebody, you just go tell them your feeling. Like, when you muster up the courage to go tell them that, oh, I really like you. Do you think we can be more than just people we know, or friends, or something like that, or can we go out, and everything, and test the waters of a potential relationship? When she did that, and she pretty much hid her feelings, and she was like, because remember, there's at the time back when they were doing their hero licensing exam arcs, and she was pretty, like, I guess you can say jealous and upset about Toga technically, or Kami technically, which was really Toga kind of hitting on Deku, and she wanted to go tell him, like, probably tell him, like, hey, I like you or something like that, but then she's like, no, I can't do that, I gotta focus on what I have to do as a hero. Now we have it to where she's fully expressing who she is, telling Toga pretty much all her feelings about her origin and everything, and she's even telling Toga, like, listen, I'm in love with this guy too, this boy I like, that I've liked for a long time. And the fact that we finally got confirmation that she admits to her feelings, all we have to do is wait for that freaking moment to when she ends up telling Deku that she's in love with him and she wants to be with him. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be a great moment. That is boring if Deku doesn't have some sort of tragic death or something, because it looked like Ochaco might be the one having the tragic death, but we see when we get to the next chapter that will definitely not be the case. So, to people who were other shippers of Deku and somebody else, well, oh, too bad. Horikoshi's definitely pushing the train of Deku x Ochaco right then and there. Anyways, I think I talked a long time about that. Anyways, moving on. Ochaco continues on saying, that's who I am, that's why I'm here right now. Now, she gets into a scuffle with Toga and everything, and pretty much she's begging Toga, please, just tell me what's on your mind. What are you thinking right now? Your thoughts and your feelings. Pretty much all of it. Now, Toga looks like she's going in for another attack, and you get this really creepy ominous scene where it's like this string, like monstrous form of Toga looking to stab Ochaco, who's like in her kid form, and you have it to where Ochaco's like, you know, moving up her sleeve, because remember from the previous chapter, Ochaco told Toga like, hey, I'll let you suck my blood as much as you want, if you just stop what you're doing. And even when Toga sees this, pretty much she starts to cry more. And pretty much, she goes on to say, I fall in love really easily with animals, with villains, with heroes, with boys, with girls. After all, they all got such amazing blood pumping through them. They tell me to stop grinning, and I get so jealous. She goes on to say how the boy, obviously she drunk the blood out of, the one kid, this kid named Saito, looked like Deku. But it's not like I could just ask him for blood, because like then he called me a freak or something. Then he'd just think, I was definitely not cute at all. And she pretty much is saying like I'm, you know, and everything. She goes on to say, just like you and Izuku, they all scold and lecture me on the right way to be. That's why I joined the League of Villains. And she's holding her knife, and she looks like she's going to go in to stab Ochaco. She goes on to say, because with them I could live and love how I needed to. But the thing is, she misses Ochaco, and I guess you can say she hugs Ochaco. She goes on to say, the signs were always there from you, but it took me so long to notice. And then next thing you know, that's when the time of Toga's quirk, of the twice quirk, is starting to wear off, and she's pretty much saying, well, I guess it's time. It looks like I used up all of Jin's blood, and Jin's starting to fade away. Now, Ochaco goes on to say, well, the thing is, I think there's something real amazing about someone all ragged but trying their hardest anyways. So maybe I'm no replacement for the League, but I want you to know how special I think your smile is. And she goes on to say, and you have that scene where obviously, you know, both of them are both crying, looking at each other. You know, you have it to where Toga's saying oh, is my smile cute moment, and then Ochaco says like the cutest smile in the whole world, pretty much. And obviously that gets Toga to smile, and she, as well as crying, as the chapter ends off with all the twice clones disappearing. So starting off the next chapter, which is chapter 395, titled Built Upon the Joys of Others, you just have it for the first few panels of how you see how the twice clones are disappearing, and some of the twice clones actually got as far out to freaking Ida, where Ida was at, and most of the twice clones were actually about to like actually do harm to like the heroes that were all beat up. Like you have one where there was one twice clone where Hawks is there, you know, and obviously the twice clone that was about to stab Hawks misses just barely, because, you know, it's disintegrating, and pretty much, you know, Hawks goes on to say, you know, Garwa was a pretty decent guy. Himika Toga, and then we see that clone of Toga as we see a little bit of her eyes start to like tear up and cry. Now, we get an inner monologue of Toga, and she goes on to say, I thought I wielded my knife to become those I love, but I wound up gripping it out of rage and hatred, all in order to make the world easier to live in. And in this meantime, you have it to where Toga is standing over the lifeless body of Ochaco with her mask and everything. Now, Toga starts to feel a little bit of pain because she used up so much of her quirk, and the blowback of her quirk was so intense, and everything. Now, she goes on to say, the heroes who got caught up in your chain zero gravity, you're giving them a gentle landing, huh? The release of your quirk is moving along that much slower since it was applied indirectly, right, Ochaco? In the end, you'll never let anyone down hard. Now, Ochaco in her monologue goes on to say that she's pretty cold and she's lost a lot of blood, and the fact that her head and her body don't even feel connected and she can't even move a muscle. But she goes on to say that she's got to keep moving. Now, pretty much Ochaco's going through blood loss, and it looks like she's on the verge of dying because she's lost a lot of blood, and if she has no feeling, well, then that means she's definitely dying. Now, Toga remembers what Ochaco said: you can have a lifetime of my blood. So, you know, the thing is, Toga's just looking at Ochaco's lifeless body, and she's like, oh crap, I gotta do something, she's dying. And she just is remembering everything that Ochaco told her. Now, she goes on to say that much blood loss will be fatal because you kept moving around after I stabbed you. She goes on to say, listen, Ochaco, the League of Villains will destroy everything, and once the dust settles, I know that the world will be easier for me to live in. So then you just have it to where Toga drinks Ochaco's blood, and she turns into Ochaco, and she goes on to say, I was so happy to hear what you had to say. I know I said it's live or die, winner takes all, but I thought of a world without you. But the thought of a world without you, no, I don't like it. So she gets pretty much one of her things to inject herself. She injects herself as well as inject Ochaco with this thing, and pretty much she's doing a blood transfer, a blood transfusion, similarly to that of, like, I guess you can say Jinbei and Luffy back in One Piece. Now she goes on to say, and to show how genuine these feelings are, all of my blood is now yours to have, which is pretty emotional. And we find out that, you know, when Toga turns into somebody, she gets pretty much everything, not only their quirks, but she even gets their blood type. So she's not giving out the wrong blood type, she's giving the right blood type too. So yeah, now Ochaco goes on to make the mention, like, she's starting to feel a little bit warmer since she's getting all this blood. And obviously, like I said, the whole blood transfusion thing, that's also a callback to the My Villain Academia arc when Twice did it for Toga. Now, Toga goes on to say, but since I'm out of Jin's blood, I gotta turn it into you, Ochaco, because if I can use someone else's quirk, my blood must turn into their blood too. Now, Ochaco's like, please don't do this. Now, Toga's like, were you planning to visit me in prison and make those blood donations until I die? You could have been fine and dandy just catching villains, Ochaco, just eliminating the freaks from this world, just doing the right thing like a plain old hero. Yet you went above and beyond and spared a thought. For someone who hurt a lot of your friends and who was out to stab you full of holes, you're kind of weird, Ochaco. Now, Ochaco pretty much says, like, listen, you're one to talk, you're the weird one, you can't do this, you know. And Toga's like, listen, I live and love as I please, so no, I can't let you catch me, just like how you can't bear to let me get away. Now, she goes and say, look, I'm sorry for stabbing you, I'm sorry for screaming at you, I mean it. She goes on to talk about how Toya burned down her household to make it go away for her sake, and how it made her feel good, and everything. But pretty much she goes on to say, you didn't make it go away, Ochaco, and as painful as it was, when you reached out and touched me, my heart felt so light, just like I could float away. And the thing is, and we just have it to where you get this full page spread of where we see how Toga also stitched up Ochaco's wound too. We also have it to where Toga has the little tiny doll, All Might doll Deku gave Ochaco, and she goes on to say, like, thank you, Ochaco, you made me so happy, truly, genuinely happy. Probably one of the best visually looking pages Horikoshi has drawn. She goes on to say, Toga, that is, I wanted to become other people so badly, so in fits of jealousy and affection, I drank all their blood. And, you know, Ochaco's crying, saying Toga's name, and pretty much Toga's crying, saying yes. And again, going back into this monologue with Toga, she goes on to say, maybe, just maybe, if I had known this feeling sooner, then despite how badly I wanted to drain their blood, I could have yearned to give my blood away too. If I experienced that sort of love, I maybe would have had an easier time living in this world. And then you get this panel to where, if you remember back in the past, she drank the bird's blood, but this time it's like she has the blood, but she's letting the blood, or she's letting bird. Jesus, I can't speak. She drank the blood of the bird, but in the panel you have it to where she has that same bird, but she's letting it fly away. And she goes on to say as the chapter ends off, in any case, I am Himiko Toga. I live and love how I please, and that's how I made my way in life. Just a normal girl with the cutest smile in the world. As the chapter ends off, Toga has her arm wrapped around Ochaco, still giving blood away, more than likely dying as this is happening, and that's pretty much how the chapter ends. And that's where we get the conclusion to this saga of Ochaco versus Toga. And man, what a crazy past few chapters, with the last chapter being pretty emotional. I really did enjoy these chapters. I really did. From all the great moments of Ochaco admitting her feelings, to Deku and then Toga pretty much expressing her feelings at the same time saving Ochaco's life, because she felt like, no, a world without Ochaco isn't right. So, I thought it was crazy. Now, obviously, a lot of people did not like these chapters, because the way they went, because it's not the way they would have done it. But hey, if you want to go be a mangaka, well then go to Japan, go try to enlist in Shonen Jump and make your own manga and make it the way you want to make it. And obviously people are like, why did they do this? Why did Horikoshi make this decision? Now, I don't know if this, I don't know if I brought up I had to have brought this up in a previous chapter, but I said pretty much the three main Elite villains are Toya, Shigaraki, and Toga. And if they're going to do this whole, okay, maybe we can do the Taka no Jutsu thing where we can make them stop doing what they're doing. Now, when I analyzed each and every one of those characters, I'm like, okay, Shigaraki might be too far gone. Toya is definitely too far gone to do a Taka no Jutsu, because he wants nothing to do with the Todoroki family. He just wants to kill them. But I always had this feeling like, okay, Toga's might be the one character that can actually be reached out and actually be, get that Taka no Jutsu moment, and she'll be willing to regret what she did in the past. Now, even though Toga still says, in the chapter, what I did is what I did, and I fully committed to that, at the end of the day, I could have maybe made some different decisions that maybe, as an example in her monologue, she makes the mention, in fact, maybe she could have been somebody that gave her blood away and did what she's doing with Ochaco. She could have been, honestly, with her quirk, yes, she might have had to drink, intakes of blood, as if she's, a zombie or something, but at the same time, if she was a normal person, if she wasn't a villain, she could have been, a nurse or somebody that, helped out for charities with blood donations and everything, because all she could have done, hey, let me get a little bit of, people who are dealing with blood loss or dying on their bed because different types of blood loss, and they can be hey, bring in Dr. Himiko, and what the thing is we can give you her blood. You have to give her your blood, or whatever's left of your blood. She can transform into you, and then she can give that blood right back to you, and we're good. Toga, with her quirk, she could have done a lot of good things. She could have probably been the one character that could have been probably somebody that saves lives, because she could donate blood. Whatever type blood it is, she could probably donate. If it's a type A blood person, well then she could turn into somebody she has that has type A blood, and then she can donate that blood. It would be she could have been a really helpful person in a society, but obviously because people felt oh, she was crazy, her smile was that of an ugly person, she felt wrong by that, and obviously that was due to her parents and everything. But I had a feeling Toga was the one person, the one villain character you could more than likely talk down out of the big three League of Villain members and get them to regret doing what they did, and maybe stop them from fighting with just talking. And I always felt that way, because we knew how complex after the war arc Toga got, with her character of okay, I want to talk to Ochaco and Deku about, would they kill a villain or not, and everything. And that's kind of the thing there. And honestly, I'm fine with, you know, going this route. Some people don't think it's a good enough route to go down. I disagree, but you know, there's really nothing you can really truly do about it. It is what it is. Horikoshi wants to tell how it is, and honestly, I think it's a perfect way to write off, you know, Toga's character, not thinking about it, that she's more than likely going to die. She's going, even though she was a villain, her last act is something of heroism, of what she could have done if she did stray on the right path, and that is being somebody that saves lives by donating blood. And doing that for Ochaco, somebody that was willing to continuously give her a chance and not give up on her. It goes to show you that, you know, she's like, I have to do this because I want to make sure that she lives on. And again, like I said, you know, where was Toga going to go after this? She referenced in the chapter, like, I would have been locked up probably for eternity. I would have been locked up for life. So I think Horikoshi made the smart, conscious decision. Like, he could have kept Toga alive, you know. But the thing is, Toga would have went to jail probably for the rest of her life. Like, there would have been no way she gets out of, like, more than likely a new built Tartarus prison. Like, she would have been there for the rest of her life because of what she did. And pretty much damn near almost overtaking Japan with helping the League of Villains. So, you know, having her die, you know, it makes sense because it's like, well, then there's nothing else you could do with the Toga character because she'll just be in jail. And what, you're just gonna have Toga or Ochaco visit her time and time again, you know, just donating blood to her, you know, that's kind of the thing. So yeah, and even then it's like, would the guards even allow Ochaco to donate blood to her? That would be another question too. So, you know, that's pretty much it. But hey, that's it was a solid flat past few chapters. Enjoyed my time with it. There is a break next week for My Hero Academia. I think all mangas are going on break next week. Well, the ones I review, pretty much. But yeah. But anyways, that's pretty much it. That's my thoughts. If you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's and last week's manga chapter of My Hero Academia. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Were you a fan? Were you not a fan of it? You know, what are your thoughts on Toga's conclusion to her story? And things like that. Man, thank goodness it seems like Ochaco's not going to die, because there was a lot of people having a feeling like, oh, is Ochaco going to die? And I'm just like, they can't kill her off, man. Not before they, like, they can't have Ochaco die if she's not going to tell Deku that she likes him, bro. But we will see. So now the concern is Deku going to die again in his battle against Shigaraki? So if you're a Deku x Ochaco fan, you better hope Deku stays alive. Otherwise, we may not get that confession, but I think we're gonna get our confession between Ochaco. It's definitely gonna be in like an epilogue chapter where Deku and Ochaco have a moment, and Ochaco's gonna tell him, like, I'm in love with you, Deku. And who knows, maybe we get like a time skip and we see like, oh, as he's walking out the door, they're already together dating or something like that. Or maybe it's like they're going to their next year of high school and they're already dating. They're already a couple. So yeah, that's kind of a thing, which it's funny because that means she'll be dating literally the character that is used in One for All, which is crazy. So yes, but anyways, so I'm like, geez Louise, I'm like, she's talking about wanting to be a hero to make her family like rich and everything. Well, holy hell, if you're gonna end up potentially hooking up and marrying the #1 hero, which we know Deku more than likely is going to be the #1 hero in the future, I think you're gonna get a lot of riches. Yeah, so I think you'll be good, you know, and plus you'll be known as the wife of the man who's the greatest hero in their history. Yeah, I think you're gonna be set for life. So that's kind of the thing. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Catch you guys in the next video and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Till then, guys, peace.